Have you ever been in a room with someone who looks at you like you're less than? Maybe they smile that fake smile while their words quietly chip away at your confidence. Or maybe they throw out comments wrapped in sarcasm. Well, you're still doing that? Or, that's cute for someone your age. It stings, doesn't it? Even if you've lived through decades of life, built a family, survived hardships, or worked your way up from nothing, there are still people who try to make you feel like you don't matter. But here's the truth they don't want you to realize. Your worth doesn't shrink just because someone refuses to see it. I want to talk to you today about what to do when someone tries to make you feel small. Whether it's a relative, a friend, a coworker, or even someone at church. This happens more often than we'd like to admit, especially as we get older. Society often treats aging like a decline, when really this season of life is one of power, clarity, and wisdom. You've earned your place. You don't have to explain it. And you certainly don't have to accept being diminished. So what do you do when you're around someone who makes those comments? Or carries that energy that makes you feel like you're somehow less than? Let's begin with something simple but powerful. Recognizing what's really going on behind their behavior. And to help with that, I want to tell you about Frank. Frank is 68 years old. Spent most of his life working as a construction foreman. Built homes for families, helped raise 3 kids, and even after retirement, volunteers at a local shelter twice a week. But there's this one guy, also retired, who always throws little digs at Frank whenever they see each other. "Oh, you still do that volunteer stuff? Thought you'd be tired by now." Or, "Back in my day, people your age knew how to rest." Subtle, but it's there. Now, Frank used to get frustrated. He'd go home and replay those moments in his mind, wondering if he was being too sensitive. Until one day, his wife said something that changed his perspective. "Honey," she told him, "anyone who feels the need to knock you down is probably standing on shaky ground themselves." And you know what? She was right. People who belittle others, especially in sneaky, underhanded ways, are often battling their own feelings of inadequacy. They don't put you down because you're weak. They do it because you remind them of their own insecurity. Maybe they see your strength, your peace, your resilience, and it threatens them. The moment Frank stopped taking it personally, he noticed something. The man's words didn't land the same way anymore. It was like watching a small dog bark behind a fence. Loud, annoying, but not dangerous. Frank realized it was never really about him. So, that's the first step. Recognize the insecurity behind the insult. When someone tries to make you feel small, remind yourself, this isn't about me. It's about them. Confident people don't need to belittle others. Secure people don't throw shade. And kind people don't mock what they don't understand. What you're seeing is a mirror of their inner world, not a measure of your value. The second thing you can do, and this is a big one, stay unshaken. I know, easier said than done, but it's a skill, and like any skill, it gets stronger with practice. Let me tell you about Walter. He's 72 now, a retired mail carrier who still walks a couple miles every morning just to stay active. A few years back, he started taking painting classes, something he'd always wanted to do but never had the time. He was pretty good at it too. Until one day at a family barbecue, his younger brother joked, "What's next, Walt? Ballet? You getting soft on us?" Everyone laughed. Even Walter chuckled, but later that night, the words stuck to him like sap. For days he thought about quitting the class, until his granddaughter, just 9 years old, asked to see his paintings. When she looked at one and whispered, "Grandpa, this is beautiful," something shifted inside him. That moment reminded him of something important. Only you get to decide what matters to you. Not your siblings, not your neighbors, not your old high school buddies. If someone's opinion has the power to make you feel small, it's because you've handed them that power. You can take it back. Now, Walter didn't confront his brother. He didn't write a long text or demand an apology. He simply stopped giving those words so much meaning. He painted anyway. He brought home his art and hung it proudly in the hallway. And the next time his brother made a snide remark, Walter just smiled and said, "You know, I like it." And that's enough. When you stop reacting, stop defending, stop trying to prove your worth to people who aren't qualified to measure it, you start to feel free, like a weight lifting off your chest. Their words become background noise, like static on the radio. You don't owe anyone an explanation for living a life that feels good to you. So if someone tries to diminish you, don't shrink. Don't fire back either. Just hold your ground. Calm, collected, and completely unfazed. Because the more unbothered you are, the more power you hold. And nothing confuses a petty person more than someone who won't play their game. That's the magic of maturity. At this stage of life, you've seen enough, done enough, and endured enough to know that your peace is sacred. Don't let anyone take it from you. Not with words, not with glances, not with backhanded compliments. You've earned the right to protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. And the best part? The moment you choose not to engage, something beautiful happens. They realize they never had control over you. That shadow they were trying to cast, it disappears the moment you stop standing in their light. Now let's talk about something that truly turns the tables. Indifference. I know that might sound cold at first, but hear me out. Indifference, when it comes to dealing with toxic people or petty remarks, isn't about being unkind. It's about being untouchable. When someone's trying to get under your skin, they're fishing for a reaction. They want to see you flustered, bothered, shaken. But when you give them nothing, no reaction, no explanation, not even a raised eyebrow, it's like pulling the rug right out from under them. Howard, a gentleman I've known for years, learned this lesson the hard way. He's 75, a quiet kind of man, keeps to himself, and has a real knack for fixing old radios. One afternoon at the community center, he was showing a few folks how to repair one. Someone younger walked by, smirked, and said, "You still messing with that junk, Howard? Who even listens to radios anymore?" In the past, Howard might have tried to explain himself, justify why he enjoys it. But this time, he didn't say a word. He looked up, gave a calm smile, and turned right back to what he was doing. That moment, as small as it might seem, was powerful, because it sent a message loud and clear. I don't need your approval to enjoy what I love. And that's the secret. When you respond with indifference, not anger, not sarcasm, just quiet confidence, you starve the other person of the control they were hoping for. It's like trying to light a fire with wet matches. Eventually, they give up. One of the most freeing things you can say to yourself is, not every insult deserves a response. You don't have to explain your choices, your joy, or your value to anyone who can't see it on their own. That's emotional maturity. That's strength. That's what makes you unshakable. And sometimes silence is more powerful than any comeback. When you've lived long enough, you learn that peace isn't just nice to have. It's essential. It's the oxygen your soul needs. So don't waste it on people who are trying to pull you into their storm. Let them flail in their drama. You've got better things to do. Now, speaking of powerful responses, there's one that needs no words at all. And that's action. If someone wants to belittle you, doubt your abilities, or talk down to you, the strongest thing you can do is succeed anyway. Do it with grace. Do it with quiet fire. Do it without making a show of it. Let me tell you about Eugene. He's 70, retired from the post office, and finally pursuing his dream of opening a small woodworking shop in his garage. When he first started, people chuckled. "At your age?" they said. Isn't it too late to be starting something new? But Eugene didn't argue. He didn't try to change their minds. He just kept showing up. Every morning, he opened that little garage, turned on some soft jazz, and got to work. 6 months later, his handmade rocking chairs were featured at the local artisan fair. One even made its way into a boutique upstate. The same folks who once laughed, they were now asking if he'd take custom orders. That's what happens when you stop talking and start doing. You let your results speak for themselves. No need for defense and no need for rebuttals. Because success, no matter the scale, is the best response to doubt. Eugene told me something I'll never forget. He said, "I didn't need to prove them wrong. I just needed to prove myself right." And he did. Quietly, steadily, proudly. And you can too. Whether it's a new hobby, a second career, going back to school, or simply taking better care of your health. Whatever it is, let your progress be your voice. Let your joy be your rebuttal. Because when you live fully and honestly, people's attempts to make you feel small start to look ridiculous. You don't owe anyone an explanation for growing into your power. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is draw a line and protect your peace. That brings me to something many of us struggle with: setting boundaries. Especially if you were raised in a time where being polite, keeping the peace, and not making a fuss were considered virtues. But let me say this as clearly as I can. Boundaries are not rude. They are necessary. Linda, a lovely woman in her late 60s, came to this realization after years of being the nice one. You know the type. Always saying yes, always accommodating others, even when it came at a cost to her own well-being. One of her friends, if you could even call her that, used to constantly belittle her ideas and downplay her accomplishments. Every time Linda shared a new project she was excited about, the woman would say, "Oh, that's cute." Or, "Well, let's see if you stick with it this time." At first, Linda laughed it off. She didn't want to seem sensitive. But the truth was, those little comments chipped away at her. Until one day, after a coffee meetup left her feeling drained and small, she had a revelation. If this friend didn't respect her, why was she offering so much space in her life? So Linda did something bold. She stopped replying to the texts. She declined the invitations. She drew a quiet boundary, not out of anger, but out of love for herself. And she told me later, it felt like exhaling for the first time in years. The moment you decide to stop allowing someone to treat you poorly is the moment you reclaim your power. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Just because someone's been in your life a long time doesn't mean they've earned the right to stay. Respect yourself enough to walk away when needed. And remember, setting boundaries doesn't require a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it's just choosing not to engage. Not sharing your plans with someone who constantly mocks them. Not inviting people into your peace who don't know how to handle it. You are not responsible for other people's feelings when they're triggered by your self-respect. You don't need to be mean, but you do need to be clear. With yourself and with them. Your peace matters. Your energy matters. And anyone who tries to make you feel small is showing you exactly why they don't belong in your sacred space. One of the most powerful shifts you can make as you grow older is learning to turn negativity into fuel. It's not about revenge, and it's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about using what was meant to break you as a stepping stone to rise even higher. Take Harold, for example. He's 66 now and finally doing something he's always dreamed of. Starting a small landscaping business with his son. The dream had been tucked away for decades. Work, kids, bills. It always got pushed to the side. But when retirement came around, Harold thought, why not now? Unfortunately, not everyone was supportive. At a neighborhood dinner, a man he's known for years chuckled and said, "Landscaping? At your age? Just enjoy bingo night like the rest of us. Now, years ago, Harold might have laughed awkwardly or brushed it off while quietly feeling embarrassed. But this time, he didn't let it sink in. He smiled and replied gently, "Well, I suppose we all find joy in different places." Then he went right back to planning his next job. You see, Harold had learned something valuable. You can take that sting, the sarcasm, the doubt, the underhanded insults, and turn it into drive. Every time someone tried to make him feel small, he used it as fuel to work harder, go further, and succeed with even more clarity. And you can too. The truth is, people who mock or doubt you are often trying to make peace with their own unfulfilled potential. They gave up on their dreams. They didn't take the risk. And seeing you dare to live fully, it stirs something in them. But that's their journey, not yours. There's something freeing about realizing that someone else's negativity doesn't have to stop you. You get to choose what to do with their words. You can carry them like weights, or you can turn them into wind beneath your wings. That's your power. The next time someone tries to downplay your goals, mock your lifestyle, or act like your efforts don't matter, don't try to convince them. Don't argue. Just think to yourself, thank you for the extra fuel. Because what they meant for harm, you'll use for growth. And as you continue rising above the noise, there's one more shift that will change everything. Choosing your circle wisely. If you've lived over 60 years, you already know. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to stay with you. And that's okay. Let me tell you about Barbara. She's 73, full of life and one of the most thoughtful people I've ever met. But for decades, she surrounded herself with people who constantly made her feel small. Friends who criticized her appearance. Family members who rolled their eyes every time she spoke up. Acquaintances who made her second-guess her every move. And for years, she stayed. Out of habit, out of loyalty, out of fear of being alone. But one day, something in her snapped. Right in the middle of a lunch date with her so-called friends. She had just mentioned she was thinking of traveling to Italy by herself. Something brave, exciting, and long overdue. And one of them scoffed. "You? Alone? Barbara, don't be ridiculous." That was the last straw. That night, Barbara sat down and had an honest conversation with herself. "Why?" she asked. "Am I holding on to people who don't believe in me?" So she made a change. Not overnight, but step by step. She started spending time at the library's book club, joined a community walking group, reached out to old friends who had drifted but always made her feel safe. And slowly, her life started to feel lighter, happier, fuller. She told me later, period. It wasn't that I needed more people. I just needed the right people. And that's something we all deserve. People who listen when you speak, who encourage you without jealousy, who clap when you win and lift you when you stumble. It doesn't take many. Just a few kind souls who see your worth and remind you of it when you forget. You are not required to stay in spaces where you feel drained. You don't need to keep the peace at the cost of your own spirit. Your time, your energy, your presence. It's all sacred. Protect it fiercely. And finally, perhaps the most important truth of all, remember your own worth. No one, and I mean no one, can make you feel small without your permission. Their words might be sharp, their tone might be dismissive, but the only way those things stick is if you let them settle in your heart. Gerald, a 71-year-old retired teacher, once told me something that stayed with me. For years, he said, I let a couple of former colleagues make me feel like I was too old, too out of touch, too soft. But you know what? I raised 3 good kids. I taught hundreds of students. I kept my marriage strong. If that's not enough, then maybe they're the ones who've got it wrong. He's absolutely right. Your worth isn't measured by what others think of you. It's measured by the love you've given, the courage you've shown, the resilience you've lived through. It's measured by how you pick yourself up, how you treat others, and how you keep growing no matter your age. People will talk. Let them. They'll judge. Let them. They'll doubt you. Let them. But don't you dare shrink. Stand tall. Speak gently. Move forward with grace. And when someone tries to make you feel small, remember, they only have power if you hand it to them. You are not too old, too late, or too anything. You are exactly where you need to be. And every year, every wrinkle, every scar is proof that you've lived. Fully, bravely, beautifully. So walk into every room like you belong, because you do. And if someone doesn't see your light, well, they're not your people. So, my friend, if you've made it this far, I hope something in these words has spoken to you, because this message matters. You matter. And no comment, no glare, no subtle dig from someone else gets to change that. You've lived through too much to let small minds make you feel like a small person. You've walked through storms, loved deeply, lost things you thought you couldn't live without, and yet, here you are, still standing, still showing up, still learning, and still growing. The truth is, people will always have something to say. But you're not here to meet their standards. You're here to live your life with dignity, with courage, with grace. So the next time someone tries to make you feel small, I want you to take a deep breath, straighten your shoulders, and smile. Not for them, but for you. Because you've just remembered what they've clearly forgotten. Your worth is not up for debate. Keep walking tall. Keep protecting your peace. Keep surrounding yourself with people who make you feel alive and letting go of the ones who only drain you. You are far more powerful than you think. If this message touched something in you, leave a comment below and share your experience. Maybe there's a Frank or a Linda or a Gerald in your life. Or maybe, just maybe, it's time to become the person who uplifts others. Because you know what it feels like when someone doesn't. And if you found value here today, please give this video a like. And don't forget to subscribe to Strong Elderly Life for more messages like this. Encouraging, honest, and made just for you. You've got more wisdom in your pinky finger than some people have in their whole lives. Don't you ever forget that. Here's to standing tall, speaking softly, and living fully, no matter your age. Take care of yourself. You're worth it. Always.